For centuries, a quiet yet unshakable force has flowed through the veins of those who walked this earth before us. A secret so powerful it could turn the storms within you into calm seas, and the chaos around you into a mere whisper of noise. The Stoics knew it, lived it, and guarded it, not because it was complicated, but because it was profound beyond measure. This wasn't about running away from life's pain, nor about pretending struggles don't exist. It was about meeting reality head-on, unflinching, eyes clear, heart steady, mind sharp. Imagine standing in the center of a hurricane, wind screaming, debris flying, the world collapsing around you, and yet you, unmoved, breathing deeply, fully in control of your inner world. That's the art of the Stoic. And here's the truth they understood. The world will never bend to your will, but your mind can bend to master the world. Every setback, every insult, every unexpected turn of fate is nothing more than raw material. To the untrained, it's chaos. To the Stoic, it's fuel. The way they saw it, you are not the puppet of your emotions. You are the hand that moves the strings. But this isn't a quick hack or a motivational slogan you tape to your mirror. It's a discipline, a way of being, a philosophy forged in the fire of battles, both physical and mental, that shaped empires and outlasted kings. It begins with a single powerful realization. You do not control the external world, but you have absolute dominion over how you respond to it. This is the unshakable fortress within you, the place no insult can breach, no tragedy can destroy, no fortune can corrupt. And the ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, built their lives upon this foundation. They walked through betrayal, loss, and uncertainty with a calm so deep it unnerved those around them. Not because they felt nothing, but because they had mastered the art of feeling without being ruled by those feelings. They trained their minds the way warriors train their bodies, through daily practice, relentless self-examination, and the courage to face the ugliest truths about themselves. And they knew something most people today have forgotten. Your happiness, your peace, your sense of purpose, it doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from mastering yourself regardless of what happens. Think about that for a moment. If your peace depends on things outside your control, you will always be a slave to circumstance. But if your peace is built on the unshakable ground of your own mind, then nothing, no loss, no betrayal, no twist of fate, can take it from you. This is the key the Stoics left for us, hidden in plain sight, waiting for anyone brave enough to use it. And once you unlock it, you don't just survive life's storms. You learn to walk through them as if they were nothing but passing clouds. The first step to unlocking this ancient Stoic secret is awareness. Seeing reality exactly as it is, without the distortions of fear, hope, or ego. Most people live in a constant tug of war between how they wish things were and how things actually are, exhausting themselves in a battle they can never win. The Stoic refuses to fight that battle. They choose instead to align with reality, to accept it fully, and in that acceptance, they find unmatched power. This is not resignation. It is clarity. When you accept reality, you free up every ounce of your energy to focus on what you can control. Your thoughts, your actions, your character. Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the greatest Stoic teachers, put it plainly, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus has the power to break my will." That's the essence of Stoicism, not the avoidance of hardship, but the transformation of hardship into the training ground for your soul. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen the virtues that matter most. Wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Wisdom to see the truth. Courage to face it. Justice to act with integrity. And discipline to remain steadfast no matter what. The Stoics treated life as a gym for the mind. Each difficulty, each insult, each moment of frustration was a weight to be lifted, a test to be passed, a chance to refine the unshakable core within. They even practiced negative visualization, deliberately imagining the loss of the things and people they loved, not to invite despair, but to sharpen gratitude and reduce fear. Because when you've already rehearsed the worst loses its power over you. And here's the paradox: they didn't become cold or detached by doing this. In fact, they became more compassionate, more present, more deeply alive. Why? Because when you are no longer enslaved by fear of loss, you can fully appreciate what you have in this very moment. Every sunrise, every breath, every conversation becomes a gift, not something you're entitled to, but something you're lucky to experience at all. This is the secret most miss. The Stoic doesn't suppress emotion, they master it. They feel joy, sadness, and love more deeply than anyone, precisely because they're not at the mercy of those feelings. They choose when to act, how to act, and what those emotions mean. And that choice, that mastery, is freedom. But the heart of this transformation, the true unlocking of your inner sage, comes when you begin to reframe every event, no matter how painful, as something that happens for you, not to you. The Stoics taught that the universe is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. Every loss, every betrayal, every unexpected twist in the road carries within it a hidden lesson meant to shape you into who you are capable of becoming. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king who ruled the most powerful empire on earth, faced wars, plagues, and personal tragedies, yet he wrote to himself in the quiet of the night, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that. What you see as an obstacle is actually the path forward. And the moment you accept this, the moment you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can this teach me?" you step into a level of power and calm that almost feels unfair to those still trapped in resistance and resentment. This is why the Stoic life isn't about passively accepting everything that happens. It's about actively engaging with it, extracting its wisdom, and using it to sharpen your mind and soul. This requires brutal honesty with yourself. It demands you stop hiding behind excuses or blaming others. The Stoics would look at any situation and ask, "What is within my control here? What is not?" And then they would ruthlessly discard the second category, pouring all their energy into the first. If someone insulted them, they didn't waste energy trying to change the other person. They focused instead on mastering their own reaction. If fortune turned against them, they didn't plead for mercy. They adapted, endured, and found a way to turn the tide. Over time, this way of living creates something remarkable, a mind that cannot be shaken. Imagine walking through your days knowing that nothing, no loss, no insult, no disaster, can take away your peace unless you allow it. Imagine living so free from the grip of other people's opinions that their praise doesn't inflate you and their criticism doesn't deflate you. You become untouchable, not because the world is kinder to you, but because you've stopped giving it the keys to your happiness. And yet, paradoxically, this detachment doesn't make you cold. It makes you unstoppable in your kindness, your courage, and your purpose, because you no longer act out of fear or desperation. You act out of choice, out of principle, out of an unwavering alignment with your highest values. This is the Stoic way. This is the ancient secret. And when you master it, you don't just survive life. You master it. And here's the truth most people never realize. Unlocking your inner sage isn't about learning something new. It's about remembering what you've always known deep down. The Stoics believed we are all born with a seed of wisdom inside us, a spark of reason that, if nurtured, can grow into unshakable inner strength. But modern life buries that seed under layers of noise, social media outrage, constant comparisons, the endless chase for validation. The ancient Stoics would tell you that the first step is to strip away everything that does not serve the soul. Epictetus, born a slave and rising to become one of the greatest philosophers in history, taught that freedom isn't granted by society. It's granted by your own mind. You can be in chains and yet be freer than the emperor himself if you learn to master your thoughts. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a fortress. Every thought is either a loyal soldier defending your peace or an infiltrator seeking to destroy it. The Stoics trained themselves to guard the gates of that fortress with relentless discipline. They questioned every thought. Is this within my control? Does this align with my values? Does this help me live a life of virtue? If the answer was no, they cast it out without hesitation. And here's the most liberating part. You can start doing the same right now. The next time you feel anger rising because of what someone said, pause and remember. Their words are just air passing through their lips. They have no power over you unless you hand it to them. The next time life throws chaos your way, instead of spiraling into panic, ask yourself, what is my role here? What is the next right action I can take? This is how you shift from being a victim of circumstance to being the architect of your response. Over time, this practice reshapes you at the deepest level. You stop living in reaction and start living with intention. You begin to feel a calm that others will notice but not understand. A calm that doesn't come from life being easy, but from you becoming unshakable. People will wonder how you stay composed when they're losing their minds. They'll think you have some kind of supernatural gift. But the truth is, you've simply stopped letting the external dictate your internal. And when you live this way, you begin to radiate something rare: quiet confidence, grounded strength, and a deep sense of peace that can't be faked. This is what the Stoics meant by living in harmony with nature. Not running from pain, not chasing pleasure, but meeting life exactly as it is and still choosing to stand tall. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being free from being ruled by emotion. And once you've tasted that kind of freedom, you'll never go back. Because you'll know, truly know, that the greatest power you can possess is sovereignty over your own mind. The beauty of Stoic wisdom is that it doesn't ask you to retreat from the world. It invites you to fully engage with it, but on your own terms. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, ruled an empire in constant turmoil. Plagues, wars, betrayals, and the heavy burden of leadership. Yet in the privacy of his journals, he wrote words that still echo through the centuries. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He didn't just preach this, he lived it every day, facing betrayals from his closest allies without letting bitterness consume him, enduring personal tragedies without letting despair define him. And here's the part that modern life hides from you. The storms you face today, failed relationships, financial pressures, uncertainty about the future, are no different in essence from the storms the Stoics faced 2,000 years ago. The human heart and mind haven't changed, only the costumes of our struggles have. The Stoic path teaches you that resilience is built in the quiet moments, not in the heat of battle. Every morning, they practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, mentally preparing for challenges before they arose. Not because they were pessimists, but because foreseeing obstacles made them unshakable when those obstacles came. Imagine waking up tomorrow and saying to yourself, "Today, I may face rudeness, unfairness, loss, or disappointment. But none of these will rob me of my integrity or my peace unless I allow them to." This single shift transforms how you move through the day. Suddenly, the chaos around you becomes training, not punishment. Every inconvenience becomes an exercise in patience. Every insult becomes a lesson in detachment. Every setback becomes a forge where your character is strengthened. And as you live this way, something remarkable happens. The world stops feeling like it's against you. You start to see that life isn't testing you to break you. It's testing you to reveal you. The Stoics knew that suffering isn't the enemy. Our resistance to suffering is. Pain will visit every human life, but misery is optional, because misery is pain plus the story we tell ourselves about it. Change the story, and the pain becomes fuel. Epictetus said, "The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it." And he was right. When you stop seeing yourself as a passive recipient of fate and start seeing yourself as an active shaper of your response, you awaken something ancient and powerful inside you. This is the inner sage the Stoics spoke of, the part of you that cannot be corrupted by wealth, broken by loss, or seduced by fleeting pleasures. The part of you that remains calm in chaos, generous in scarcity, and unshaken in uncertainty. And here's the secret: the more you practice this, the more magnetic you become. People will gravitate toward you, not because of what you own or how you look, but because you exude something the modern world is starving for: peace, depth, and unshakable presence. This is the ancient Stoic secret, waiting for you to claim it. Not tomorrow, not when life calms down, but now, in the middle of your current chaos, in the exact life you have today. Because the sage isn't found in some distant mountain retreat, it's already within you, waiting to be remembered. The true unlocking of your inner sage begins when you stop living as if you have endless tomorrows. The Stoics were obsessed with one undeniable fact: memento mori, remember, you will die. Not in a morbid, fear-filled way, but as a constant reminder to live with urgency and clarity. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Think about that. How many hours have you spent replaying arguments in your head, scrolling mindlessly through your phone, or worrying about the opinions of people who won't even remember your name in a year? The Stoics saw such distractions as the greatest theft of all. Not the theft of money or possessions, but the theft of your life's most precious currency, time. To them, each day was a complete life in miniature, and to squander it was to squander everything. They trained themselves to wake with gratitude, to treat every conversation as if it might be the last, to put their full attention into every act, whether it was commanding armies or sweeping a floor. And here's the paradox. When you live with the constant awareness that time is finite, you actually begin to feel infinite. Why? Because you stop postponing your happiness. You stop waiting for someday to love fully, to forgive, to create, to act boldly. The moment you embrace mortality, you are free from the fear of it. Now, combine this with another cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, the dichotomy of control. The Stoics split the universe into two categories: what you can control and what you cannot. Everything else flows from this. Imagine your mind as a fortress. Inside the walls are your choices, your actions, your judgments. Outside the walls are the weather, the economy, other people's moods, the past, the future, things you can never fully command. Most people spend their lives trying to rearrange the outside world while their inner fortress crumbles. The Stoic flips this. They fortify the inside so strongly that no siege from the outside can breach it. When someone insults you, you control your response. When plans fall apart, you control your adaptability. When loss comes, and it always will, you control your perspective on it. This is where the modern mind struggles most. We've been conditioned to believe that happiness comes from arranging life to match our preferences. The Stoic laughs at this. They know preferences are fine, but peace comes from not being enslaved by them. This is not passivity, it is mastery. The inner sage doesn't ignore injustice or hardship. They face them head-on, but without giving them the power to dictate their inner state. And something incredible happens when you live this way. Life stops being a series of crises to survive and becomes a training ground for greatness. Every trial is a sparring partner for your spirit. Every discomfort is a teacher. Every ending is a doorway. When you internalize this, the world can throw its worst at you, and instead of crumbling, you rise, not with arrogance, but with the calm certainty of someone who knows they are bigger than their circumstances. This is the ancient Stoic secret, not hidden in temples or locked away in old scrolls, but written in the marrow of your own being. You don't need to seek it outside. You need only to remember, to practice, to live it. Until the day comes when people look at you and can't quite explain why, but they feel safer, calmer, and stronger in your presence. That's when you'll know you've unlocked your inner sage. The path to unlocking your inner sage is not a sudden enlightenment, but a disciplined transformation. One decision, one reflection, one moment of awareness at a time. The Stoics understood something our modern world resists, that the mind must be trained with the same intensity as the body, if not more. You wouldn't expect to lift a heavy weight without months of conditioning, so why do we expect to handle grief, betrayal, or fear without preparing our mental muscles? Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire yet carried the weight of wars, plagues, and personal losses, began each morning by anticipating the challenges ahead. He would tell himself, "Today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. None of them can harm me. Why? Because he recognized that the true battleground is not out there, it's in here. And that's where the modern seeker fails. We obsess over controlling external events instead of mastering the inner dialogue that interprets them. The Stoics were warriors of perception. They trained themselves to slow down before reacting, to insert a pause between stimulus and response. That pause is where your power lives. Someone shouts at you? Pause. Your flight is cancelled? Pause. You receive devastating news? Pause. In that breath, you decide, will I be a slave to my emotions, or will I be their master? Epictetus, born into slavery and later one of the greatest Stoic teachers, reminded his students that men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. This is not a denial of reality, it's the ultimate engagement with it. It says, the facts are neutral. I give them meaning. And if I can choose the meaning, I can choose a meaning that strengthens me. This mindset doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you untouchable. Imagine a storm at sea. The waves crash, the wind howls, the boat groans under pressure. The untrained mind is like a sailor who panics, running frantically from rope to rope, imagining the worst. The trained Stoic is like the seasoned captain, aware of the danger, but steady at the helm, eyes fixed on the horizon. That steadiness is not luck, it's the product of a life built on inner discipline. And discipline is the foundation for something even greater: freedom. We tend to think of freedom as the absence of rules, but the Stoics flipped that. True freedom is self-mastery. If you cannot govern your impulses, you are not free. You are a puppet, pulled by strings of desire, fear, and habit. The inner sage cuts those strings one by one. They stop needing the world to be perfect in order to feel at peace. They stop bargaining with life, I'll be happy when, and instead choose to meet it as it is, with dignity and resolve. And here's the paradox. When you stop demanding that life obey you, life begins to cooperate with you in ways you never imagined. You attract opportunities because you radiate calm in chaos. You draw respect because you don't flinch under pressure. You inspire others because your stability becomes a refuge in a world addicted to anxiety. This is how ancient wisdom shapes a modern life, not through mystical rituals or distant philosophies, but through the daily act of showing up as the captain of your own mind. Every day you either train the sage within or feed the chaos without. The choice, as the Stoics would remind you, is yours alone, and that's exactly where your power has always been.